Erik Amberger Erikson, Stages of Psychosocial Development. I'm Andre Wright, and I'm joined by my groupmate William Wynn. Early life. Erik Erikson was born on June 15, 1902, in Frankfurt am Main, Germany. Raised by his mother, Carla Abrahamson, and stepfather, Dr. Theodor Amberger. Erikson was officially adopted by his stepfather in 1911 and used the surname Amberger until 1939. Erikson practiced the Jewish faith and attended a Jewish temple and grammar school as a child. Later, attended high school at the gymnasium. Early on, Erikson claimed he experienced identity confusion. This may have been brought on by his appearance and ancestry. Erikson, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, was born to a Danish Jewish mother and Danish Gentile father. His mother and birth father parted ways, and later she remarried to Dr. Amberger. Erikson discovered the truth of his ancestry and adoption in his late childhood, which caused him much distress. Early professional and personal life. Erikson attended school to study art despite his stepfather's wishes to follow in his footsteps and study pediatrics. Later, Erikson dropped out of art school to travel through Germany. He made money by selling and trading sketches. Though his mother offered financial support, Erikson moved back home to teach art. Erikson was afforded the opportunity to meet Sigmund Freud's daughter Anna Freud during his time teaching. Erikson became a student under Freud and specialized in child psychoanalysis at the Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute. Child psychoanalysis is a form of treatment and research which uses the play of children to help them with their problems. The goal? To aid children and parents to understand their feelings and behaviors and get their development back on track. Erikson also studied the Montessori method of education. The Montessori method is based on self-directed activity, hands-on learning, and collaborative play. Children are able to make creative choices in their learning, and the instructors offer age-appropriate activities to guide the process. Later, Erikson married Joan Mowat Surson in 1930. Together they birthed 4 children, Kai, John, Sue, and Neil Erikson. Later, Erikson received a diploma from the Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute in 1933. Afterwards, he immigrated to the United States in 1933.
After moving to the United States, he practiced as a child psychoanalyst at Harvard Medical School, where he became the first child psychoanalyst in Boston. Erikson studied cultural influences on psychological development at the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. At the reservation, he worked with the Sioux Indian children for these studies. These studies eventually contributed to his theory that all societies develop institutions to accommodate personality development, but that the typical solutions to similar problems arrived at by different societies are different. Around his time of working with the Native American children, he received his American citizenship. Soon after his studies, he moved his clinical practice to San Francisco and became a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley in 1942. Also in the 1940s, he wrote the Childhood and Society Essays collection, which were the first major exposition of his views of psychosocial development. The editor of the essays was his wife. Erikson's model of psychosocial development consists of 8 developmental stages. The first one is trust versus mistrust, which lasts from birth to 1 year of age. Infants are completely dependent on the others to survive and must learn to trust others and the environment around them. The second stage is autonomy versus shame and doubt, which lasts from about 2 to 3 years of age. During this stage, children begin to show a little independence. The third stage is initiative versus guilt, which lasts from about 4 to 5 years of age. This is the stage that children begin to exert more control over themselves by planning, initiating, and directing different activities. The fourth stage is industry versus inferiority, which lasts from the age of 6 to puberty. During this stage, the children try to learn and master new skills in various aspects of life in academics, sports, arts, and social skills. The fifth stage is identity versus role confusion, which lasts during the adolescence years of a person's life. In this stage, adolescents often experiment with different roles, beliefs, values, and goals to find what best fits them. The sixth stage is intimacy versus isolation, which lasts during the young adulthood years of a person's life. In this stage, people strive to develop close, stable friendships with others, including intimate relationships. The seventh stage is generativity versus stagnation, which lasts during the middle adulthood years of a person's life. During this stage, individuals are focused on becoming productive members of society. The eighth stage is ego, integrity versus despair, which lasts during the late adulthood years of a person's life. During this stage, people tend to reflect on the life they have lived, either conclude that they are happy or regret the life that they have lived. In 1950, the University of California at Berkeley asked Erikson to sign a loyalty oath, but he refused. He resigned from the job and joined the Alston Riggs Center in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Erikson is widely known for his psychosocial development and the concept of identity crisis. He won a Pulitzer Prize and a National Book Award with his book of Gandhi's Truth on the origins of militant nonviolence. A big influence in his life was the daughter of Sigmund Freud, Anna Freud. She influenced him to pursue the field of psychoanalysis. She encouraged him to enroll at the Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute. Another person that influenced him was Sigmund Freud. Erikson actually expanded on Sigmund Freud's 5 stages of development with his 8 stages. Just like Sigmund, he believed that personality developed in stages. Some more individuals that influenced Erikson were Martin Luther King and Mohandas Gandhi. He analyzed both of their lives throughout his studies. His friends Lawrence Kay, Margaret Mead, A.L. Kroeber, and Gardner Murphy helped support a sense of health as a potential for the development of human beings struggling with conflicts created by the pressures of a given life stage. In 1960, he returned to Harvard, where he became a professor there until his retirement in 1970. In 1969, a school was named after him and is now known as the Erikson Institute. He was the first to propose that children are not simply biological organisms, but they are products of society's expectations, prejudices, and prohibitions. In 1973, he was selected to give the Jefferson Lectures in Humanities. After retiring, he continued to write short works on Thomas Jefferson and Jesus. In his 80s, he began to move every few years from one part of the country to another. In his final years, he could no longer write or remember much. He died on Cape Cod at the age of 91 on May 12, 1994. Erikson's basic developmental framework on conflict negotiated in the context of relationships and identity crisis still being taught today in classrooms across the world. Because of his stages, teachers are able to alter their methods of instruction to support students in their efforts to develop qualities such as initiative, industry, and a sense of identity. He left some advice to educators, which is do not mistake a child for his symptom. And these are the sources